Hello my wonderful friends, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Elena. I love all things makeup and beauty. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you the best spring eyeshadow palettes. So if you want to know what they are, then definitely keep on watching. So I have 10 palettes with me, and the first palette is the Akasha U from e.l.f. Cosmetics. And yes, it may look a little too dark for spring, but let me tell you, it feels spring to me because of the purples. When I think of spring, I think of purples, I think of yellows, I think of blues, and that definitely has it in here. This is such a beautiful color story. The formula is also really nice. I really like e.l.f. and their bite-size eyeshadow palettes that they have are probably one of the best formulations that they have out there. I have quite a bit of their bite-size palettes, and I really love this one. Like I said, yes, it may be a little dark, but it's purple. You know, I feel spring when I see this, so yes. Next palette we have is from ColourPop, is the Fresh Greens palette, and this palette is an Target exclusive palette, so you'll only find these palettes at Target. But when I see this palette, I definitely think of spring. These greens are the spring type of greens. We have the lighter greens. We even have this beautiful peach type of tan color. Yes, we have some darker tones, but it reminds me of, like, you know, the dirt when the flowers are blooming in the spring. And I believe that this palette really has good formula. I think like the ones in these clear packagings that you can find at Target are pretty nice, considering they're not on the ColourPop website. They're just Target exclusive, but as I said, I really think they're nice, so yes. Next palette is from ColourPop. It is the Winnie the Pooh Sweet As Can Be palette. And I love Winnie the Pooh so much. It is my childhood. And then when you open up, this is what the color story looks like. Definitely a spring color story to me. It has those yellows, it has the pinks, it has the blues. And I feel like the formula of this is really, really nice. Now, when I first got it, I wasn't so sure on it. This was the first palette that I ever had those mattes with the little glitters in it. So I didn't know for sure. I was kind of iffy on it. I was like, well, I really like a good matte, but I don't really like a sparkle to it. But I have grown on them, and I really like them. And I made such a beautiful look with this palette recently. I don't know. This palette, it just brings, you know, nostalgia back. And look at the packaging. Like, does it not, like, feel spring to you? We got Winnie the Pooh. We got the flowers. We got the bees. We got the butterflies. Definitely spring to me. So, yes. I also want to let you know, majority of these palettes are still available. If they're not, I'll go ahead and pop it on the screen letting you know that they're not available. But if they aren't available, you can always shop your stash, or you can purchase it from somebody else on Mercari, Poshmark, etc. And the next palette we have is the Flora Story palette from Odin's Eye, and this was in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. And the outer packaging, oh wow, it is so nice. It's so beautiful. I really love mushrooms. I really love a good forest fairy tale type of vibe, and this definitely gives it out. And then when we open it up, this is what the palette looks like. Now, yes, this palette may be a little dark, but it definitely has the spring vibe to it. Now, I know when people think of spring, they think of pastels, they think of very bright colors, but also have to consider that the nature is different. You know, we have the dirt, we have the flowers blooming, you know, we have all of that. And this definitely reminds me of it. We got the beautiful purples, beautiful greens. We even got this beautiful blue in here. I really love this palette, and I think this palette is really nice quality. Now, I know some of Odin's Eye palettes are a hit or miss, but most of my Odin Eye palettes that I have are very, very nice. I haven't really had a palette that I've had difficulties with. And Amanda in Makeup Just for Fun, she is such a sweet content creator. I really love her channel. I think you should definitely check it out. But congratulations on her collaboration with the Odin's Eye. And like I said, the packaging, the color story, it's definitely spring. Also, one more thing, if I am stuttering between my words and like repeating, just know that today is not my day. I am having a rough time talking, but I really wanted to film this video, so yes. So I do apologize. Please don't come at me in the comments. Also, if you know, I took a 2-month break, so I'm trying to still get in the back of swing of things filming. So yes, I just want to let you know. But next palette we have is from Too Faced. It's the Italian Spritz palette. And I love this palette so much. I believe this is probably one of the best Too Faced palettes that they have ever done, in my opinion. So I got this when it first came out, and I wasn't such a big fan of it at first because when I first used it, I really like it. I thought the formula was really, really nice. And then I waited about 3 months until I used it again, and then I went ahead and used it again, and most of the shimmers had hard pan on it. And I was very disappointed, but all I had to do was just scrape the top, and then voila. It was perfect again. And I really love the color story of this. It's something definitely more unique than Too Faced has ever done. And I wish they would do something unique like this again. I feel like most of their palettes are just neutral palettes. And I know a lot of people like neutrals. I know that's a lot of people's hits. But as I said, I feel like this was probably the best formula they have ever done. And yes, it just does still smell like Italian Spritz. Now, you can also consider this as a summer palette, but I feel like this is spring summer. So when I do my summer palettes also, this will probably be in it. But we do have the pastels. So yeah, I really love this palette. I would definitely get your hands on it if you want a colorful palette from Too Faced and really good quality, because I'm in love with this palette. Next palette is from Sigma. It's the Alice in Wonderland palette, and this was the first Sigma palette that I ever got, and this is what the palette looks like. Super, super beautiful. Now, let me tell you, I was blown away by this. So I never used a Sigma palette before. I never even used a Sigma product, to be honest, before. And I got this palette and I tried it out, and my first impressions, it was amazing. The formula, everything was so good. And like, that was got me into Sigma. Now, I don't have many Sigma palettes. I don't have many Sigma beauty products, but I do have quite a bit of their brushes. Their brushes, everything. But this palette, let me tell you, it performs so well. And it's definitely a spring palette. You know, we have those pastels, but we have those colorful blues. We have the yellow, we have the pinks. Now, yes, there's some colors that are dark, but as I said, there are a lot of colors that are put into the springtime. So yeah, I really love this palette. I believe Sigma did such a good job with this, and I really want to try more from the brand. There hasn't been really a palette that has came out recently that's really caught my eye, but when they do, I will definitely be picking it up. Next palette we have is from ColourPop. It's on a Whimsy, and I will tell you though, this one I know for sure is discontinued. It was an Ulta exclusive palette, and this is what the color story looks like. Such a beautiful color story. Now, if you saw my eyeshadow palette declutter, yes, I did declutter this palette, but as I said in the declutter, if nobody wanted it, I was going to go ahead and put it back in my collection. Nobody claimed it, and it's back in here, and I actually kind of glad I put it back in my collection. This is what the blue that's on my eyes today is, this one, and it's so, so gorgeous. It performs so well. Now, yes, this is more of a neutral palette, but it still has those spring vibes in it. It has like the pinks, it has that blue, it has the white. It just reminds me of tulips. It reminds me of pink flowers when I look at this palette, and it performs really, really well. I really love this palette. I'm glad I was able to get my hands on it. As I said, it is discontinued, but as I said in the beginning, you can always shop your stash or purchase it from somebody else. Next palette we have is from Odin's Eye. It's the Solmont 2 palette, and this was my second Odin's Eye palette that I picked up, and look how beautiful it is. Now, yes, it is a dark color, type of jewel tone color story, but it still says spring to me. I really love it. I really do. We do have pastels in here. You know, this could also be a summer palette, so you might be seeing this in my summer palette. video. But I really love this palette. Now the quality of this, when I first got it, really, really good. And I'm pretty sure they still sell it. But it is a little bit on the older side, and I definitely can tell that it is because the quality isn't performing at its best. Now, will I get rid of it? No. It's still workable, and I still really love this palette. I have actually really big dips in this palette. I know it may not seem like it, but trust me, I've used the heck out of this palette. And like I said, this is probably one of Odin's Eye's great formula that they have. As I said, I'm pretty sure they're still available if you want to pick it up. It's really good quality, but as I said, mine's really old, so don't have to worry about that. But this is a really nice spring palette, so yes. Next palette is from Natasha Denona. This is the Retro palette, and I love this palette so much. This was my favorite palette for a very long time. Now, yes, another palette did beat this palette, but I really fell in love with this palette right away, and this is really what got me into Natasha Denona. I wasn't so sure about the brand because they were a little pricier, and this was the first high-end brand that I ever tried, and it did not disappoint at all. I'm in love with this palette. I believe the formula is really nice. The color story is very beautiful. Now, yes, it's more of a neutral mauve tone color story, but when I was starting out with makeup, that's what I wore majority of the time. I wasn't really into color until maybe 2 years after my makeup journey. But I love this palette so much. This also has a very special place in my heart. When I made a look with this the first time, a person that did pass away, unfortunately, really loved the look and really boosted my confidence to do makeup. She was extremely supportive, and she really told me to keep going with my YouTube, and here I am with my YouTube, and I really appreciate that. So this is really sentimental at the same time, but it is a spring palette. Like I said, it is darker, but the mauve tones really speak spring to me. And the last palette we have is from Nomad Cosmetics, is the Fête de Provence palette. And this palette is discontinued, but like I said, you can always shop your stash or you can purchase it from somebody else. But I really love this palette. This was the first Nomad palette that I ever purchased, and I am really glad I got this palette. Now, did this palette really open my eyes for the Nomad brand? Not really. That Ghost Town USA palette really opened my eyes, but I still thought this was a really nice palette. I think the quality is really nice, was really nice. This palette is kind of on the older side, and when I had it on my eyes today, there was a crap tons of fallout. I mean, a lot. Mattes, shimmers, everything. That was kind of annoying, so I probably should have done my eyes before I did my base, but hey, it's all good. But I really love this color story. I do use it for the springtime. That's mostly only when I use this palette is during the springtime, but I really love it. I think Nomad did such a good job with this palette, and I know Nomad doesn't do many pastel palettes. Now, they have come out with pastel palettes, mostly palettes that just have a little pastels in them, but I feel like they really should revamp something like this. I believe the color story was so beautiful. That's why I got it, is because of the color story. Now, Nomad, such a nice brand, and they have a special place in my heart. They were the first brand to ever comment on one of my YouTube videos. They were the first brand to send me PR, and them and just in general is just so kind. So I thank Nomad so much for just being very supportive also, and I can't wait to get more PR from them. It's a dream of mine. But I really love this palette, and yeah, it definitely speaks spring to me. Okay, so that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Those always help my channels. But I will be back with a lot more makeup and beauty content. Still then, you guys stay beautiful, stay healthy, and stay safe. Bye.